Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Modern Horizon spoilers. We got a bunch of them. I'm not going to look at all of them, obviously, because some of them were just kind of meh. Fortunately, most of the new to modern reprints were pretty sweet so far, so we'll take a look at those. So we're going to go approximately all the way up to 528, which is Friday, so like 4 or 5 days-ish. Maybe not everything from Friday today. But we'll go ahead and look at all this stuff. Look at the interesting things. Some of the stuff I think is just kind of nice or cute or whatever. Yeah, so let's get to it. All right, let's start with the new to modern reprints, starting with white. Got some unexpected stuff here. Seal of Cleansing. This is quite good. This is an excellent card, a great reprint. Just another good card, a nice alternative to disenchant if you ever have any sort of like synergies with enchantments. This is pretty good. And of course, this plays pretty well with Lurrus, including the next card. Seal Cleansing, very sweet, very powerful, just a good card. Pretty nice, because sometimes you can use your mana more efficiently, right? Be able to drop your seals when you have nothing else going on, and there's usually no problem with that. That's usually a good thing to do. So yeah, Seal Cleansing, that's a good add. Then we got Soul Snare, a little strange. Didn't expect to see this guy or girl, I guess it is on the art. Yeah, this is a card originally from the first Commander set, I believe. The one in like 2011 or maybe the 2013 one. I don't quite remember. This is sweet. Yeah, this is a pretty cool card. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's kind of like a banishing effect, right? Except it just goes away forever. You just have to pay the 2. So it's nice. Again, another one you drop on first turn, and then just have it sit there. Just be like, yeah, all right, take it, get rid of you. So yeah, this is sweet. I really like Soul Snare. This is an interesting card. Again, all these enchantment synergies. When we get to some of the green cards, that'll be pretty cool to talk about. But yeah, Soul Snare should be a good role player. Lots of interesting one mana sort of removal spells now that we have access to, and so that's really cool. I like it a lot. Very nice. The efficiency's great. Again, enchantment synergies, that's great. Again, speaking of enchantments, we have Solitary Confinement. This thing is, I made a list actually before the first Modern Horizons comes out, and they'll probably actually go over that list at the end of preview season when we know the full spoiler. But I have this on my phone, been looking at it, and before the first Modern Horizons came out, I'm like, all right, here's a bunch of cards I want to see, and then here's some cards I don't think we will see. And a lot of these cards were already added in the first Modern Horizons, and then a lot of them have also been added now into the second Modern Horizons. But one that I did not expect to see uh, is Solitary Confinement. This is a little strange. This is actually really strange because these kind of sort of prison effects, really powerful prison effects, are pretty unusual, I guess, for lack of a better word. I mean, they don't print stuff like this anymore, not even close. I mean, there's a reason this hasn't been reprinted since Judgment, right? The original set it came out in like, was that 2002? So like 20 years, I mean, and this isn't just some random like, you know, oh, conceptually this can do a thing. I mean, there was actual decks and extended that played this, with Confinement and Seismic Assault and Light from the Loam. And you would fuel your Solitary Confinement and draw cards with cycling lands and Light from the Loam and just discard lands and eventually kill them with Seismic Assault, and your opponent just typically sits there and does nothing. It's not like this card is impossible to answer, far from it, but it does create like play patterns that I wasn't sure they were really okay with. I mean, this is like maybe less powerful than something like Armageddon, right? Another like really quote unquote unfun, but really powerful white card. Whereas, yeah, Armageddon requires less less build around. You don't have to contort your decks in certain ways. You can just slam your Armageddon and just go to town. Um, but I would say in the right deck, Confinement is certainly up there, and it stops all sorts of things. You can't be targeted with discard, or all sorts of other random targeted effects that target you, right? Because it gives you Shroud. I mean, you don't take any damage, like in the draw step stuff doesn't matter, right? Because you have the Loam, Seismic Assault. I mean, especially now with the pseudo entomb that they added, so you can always have access to your Light from the Loam. So yeah, I mean this is a bit puzzling, but pretty sweet. So now we can play like a black, green, white version, and you can use like the Iula's influence, the seismic assault that makes bears. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. I mean, I think this was also played in Astral Slide decks at some point in time in extended, um, and you would like be able to blink out Eternal Witness to get extra cards, cycling lands, your Loam or whatever, and then and then just I mean yeah, just go nuts that way. Confinement has seen play in Legacy in different decks too, including Enchantress decks. Again, don't mean to to bury the lead, but yeah, we're gonna be talking a lot about Enchantress stuff today. Yeah, Confinement's powerful. We'll definitely do something. This is a great card, and I'm excited to see um, what it can do. So this is sweet. This is super sweet. I can't wait to play this thing. Um, I love it. I love it. The just the fact that they decided to put the card in is more interesting even than the card itself, I think. Maybe this is like a little bit of a shift or admission that R&D is willing to print like some of these really powerful, like quote unquote unfun cards. But especially with black now being able to interact with enchantments like through like actual destruction effects, like they actually have enchantment destruction now. We'll have to see how this plays out. Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting stuff. So let's move on. All right, got a couple of sweet cards. Right, first off, again, another seal of removal. This one wasn't in. And so now this is all four of the seals. We aren't counting Seal of Strength. That was the Giant Growth one, which is not particularly great. It's not bad. I mean, it's basically additional Giant Growth, but Giant Growth isn't relevant at the moment, unfortunately. Very sad. So we have now all four of the seals, because the other two, the red and black one, were introduced in Dissension. But Seal of Removal, this card's great, saw a ton of play back in the day, and Extended is just wonderful, just a great answer. You don't have to hold up blue, to unsummon stuff. Now you can just like, if you have a free mana or on turn one, just Seal. This is great. I wish we were able to get like Waterfront Bouncer or something, but that's okay. I think maybe Seal's a little better, it's a little faster, but I love Waterfront Bouncer, which would be awesome in the Merfolk decks. Anyways, speaking of discarding cards, we have Wonder. This thing is great. I'm glad, because we got Genesis last time, which has done basically nothing, and then Wonder. Wonder's a little stronger, a little faster, less dirtily, and if you get good discard outlets, I mean, this will be a sweet card. Obviously saw a ton of play in the Blue-Green Madness decks. Probably won't see play in the current Madness decks because they'd have to splash for blue. But this is a really powerful card. Can swing races right around, breaks through board stalls very easily. Very powerful card. I love it. It's pretty sweet. Very cool. Very cool. And last but not least, again, another kind of shocking card I didn't expect to see, Upheaval. Now this one's a little bit harder to use, but it's seen a ton of play in the past. Obviously this is a cube all-star, like how do you ever lose when you cast Upheaval? Like it's basically impossible. There's a reason why this thing is fucking banned in Commander. This card is fucking nuts. Like absolutely nuts. Like it basically costs 0. It might as well have the Saga tap on tap mechanics, because you're just producing like tons of mana with this thing. So you can like play your mana rocks, Upheaval, float your mana, play your mana rocks, play other stuff. I mean, just nuts, just absolutely bonkers. So it saw play in the Tinker decks, like an Extended, and then of course sometimes an Extended, and as well, and most notably in Standard in the Psychotog decks, which it was just like, yep, oh, maybe this mono black deck will be tough. No, fuck it. Like Upheaval, play Tog, play your island, hold up Circular Logic or Force Spike. Just absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal. Like this just solves all sorts of problems. Like normally blue has problems with things that resolve, just weird stuff that you weren't able to counter or whatever. Just the way things play out. Nah, fuck it, just upheaval. While there doesn't seem to be any decks off the top of my head, maybe Blutron. Uh, but other than that, like it seems like there's no decks that could really use it. Obviously, if they decide to reprint Psychotog, which as far as I know actually isn't crunched out and would be an interesting card, this gives you a very big reason to play blue-black. Pretty sweet. That would be awesome. And it seems like it hasn't been crunched out. It fits in with the blue-black, like discarding cards gives you stuff, kind of part of blue, of the draft archetype, the blue-black draft archetype. That would be really sweet. That would be really sweet. I mean, you're still lacking a ton of cards that really made the deck great, like Intuition, Brainstorm, um, Memory Lapse, Force Spike, Circular Logic, Cunning Wish, stuff like Corpse Dance. So there's actually like quite a few cards that actually aren't in, but I mean, you have really important stuff like Fact or Fiction was a big part of it. So that's a pretty okay draw engine. And you do get like slightly better removal, right? With like Fatal Push, it's a pretty big upgrade to something like Smother. I mean, I don't know. This is really exciting. I would be shocked if they didn't put Tog in this format. I think that'd be really, really exciting, really fun. Um, but Upheaval itself, pretty incredible card. I mean, when this thing is good, I mean, it is unbelievably good because there's just no other card in the game, for blue at least, or really even like it's like, oh, it's a color shifted Yokel Hops. It's not even that, right? Because this deals with enchantments. I mean, you can do. Oh wow, this thing is just really powerful. I'm just glad it's here. This is a sweet card. Obviously, it's a little clunky. It's a little awkward, right? It is 6 mana, and we don't really have access to things like Thran Dynamo or the like, to really like have really like artifact decks that just produce tons of mana, Voltaic Keys, taps and untaps, and I mean, we do have Gilded Lotus, right? So that's something. So maybe there's something here. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. If that was a deck, I mean, oh boy, here we fucking go. Um, of course. Anyway, so we'll talk more about this later. I don't want to get too off topic. So let's move on. All right, another one I've really wanted back really badly was Patriarch's Bidding. It was like, well, it was either this or Living Death. Living Death has gotten a couple reprints, but this is, I believe, the first reprint for Patriarch's Bidding. It's got this cool werewolf art. Does that make me a furry? I hope it doesn't. I'm gonna regret saying that. But it's got the werewolf art. I like kind of the shift, right? The patriarch, right? The alpha, I guess, is the thing instead of like the patriarch of the cabal. Kind of a cute little thing there. But I like what they did. This card is awesome. I mean, this thing is like when this is good. I mean, this thing is just awesome. Obviously, seeing very mostly associated with the Goblins deck from Onslaught era Type 2, right? Goblin bidding, because you would just have sharpshooters and skirt prospectors and sledders, and then you would have all your war chiefs to give your stuff haste, and so you could like sack it to just ping stuff, and then like you could sack your siege gang, and then it comes back and then makes more tokens, and then you can sack. Oh, you just go nuts. You just go totally nuts. I love it. So this card is really sweet. It's one hell of a trump. I mean, talk about like this is very much like Wonder, where it's like breakthrough board stalls, just awesome. I mean, this is gonna be really great with Skirk Prospector as well as our good friend Pashlikmons, and of course Sling Gang too. I mean, how many lightning helixes do you want, bro? So really cool stuff. This is really exciting. I'm glad it's back. Good reprint for Commander 2. Scourge Familiar is an interesting one. This one can do a lot of stuff. I believe this one saw play in the old bargain decks from Saga, just as a way to turn all the cards in your hand into extra mana and stuff. Pretty sweet. This is a very sweet card. It's now a Phyrexian, which is cool. I like the art. I love these watermarks. Those are sweet. I don't know what it could do, but this thing is pretty powerful, and it can do quite a bit of stuff. Obviously, producing a bunch of mana, and even in a pinch, it's a 3/2 flyer, so that's not too bad. Not a bad fail state. Don't know what it does, but it's sweet. Now we have Bone Shredder. This is more of it's more of a survival card, survival of the fittest. This was played back in the day, right? And this was really sweet in the survival decks. But now you can unearth it, right? They're both from the same set, Unearth and Bone Shredder. So now you can unearth your Bone Shredder in Modern. Of course, you never knew you wanted to do that, but you can now. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if it does anything, but this is really sweet. I love the weird art. It's shredding bones. I love Ron Spencer. You can't go wrong. Let's go ahead and move on, but I'm loving this stuff. All right, Red has got a ton of good stuff. So let's go over some of it real quick. We got Goblin Bombardment. This thing is incredible. I've wanted it in Modern for a very long time. It's just a great sacrifice outlet. Part of all sorts of silly combos, and especially with all the support that like sacrifice decks have been getting. Again, you only need to look at something like Pioneer or Historic or whatever, or Standard recently to see like the Cat Oven decks, and just adding this to it is like awesome. So now you can really go nuts, really do a lot of sweet stuff. Good reprint too, good reprint. Pretty weird art. I like the original art better, but no biggie, no biggie. And Imperial Recruiter, one that I didn't expect to see. I wasn't sure. I'm like, does Red get to do this? This seems like, I don't know, is this a Red thing? I guess caring about power is a Red thing, at least in some respect. So yeah, Imperial Recruiter, this is going to be great for the human decks. There could be all sorts of combo applications, like in Legacy, where you're able to get like Painter's Servant, stuff like that. Pretty sweet. This can fetch up Stoneforge, which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to do here, but this is a great reprint. Flame Rift. Flame Rift is a good one. Again, another one that I was a little didn't expect to see. I thought it was possible, but I wasn't sure. Obviously, a lot of the burn decks are pretty good as is. It probably, I mean, the effect is seen in Boros Charm, right? But it's this one you could play in your mono red deck. But it's not like the splash is that big of a deal, and you get to, you're already going to play a bunch of the Canopy lands and stuff. So I don't know, but this one seems pretty good if you want to play mono red. 2 for 4 damage, it's a pretty good deal. There's not a ton of cards that really do that. So Boros Charm being the other big one off the top of my head. So, and of course, it has the sweet Giant Ballard flavor text. I mean, that's a big win. I like the art, pretty cool. Gorilla Shaman, because fuck Affinity and fuck Artifact decks, apparently. This is a pretty strong card, another one that I did not expect to see. Yeah, this thing is great. Nukes non-creature artifacts. Mox Monkey was, I remember playing it in Vintage in like 2000 something. Yeah, it was really good. Just 1 mana nuke Moxes, pretty sweet. 3 mana kill a Soul Ring. This thing's really powerful. A little less so, more of a sideboard card probably. I mean, there's combos you can do, like with or like the Karn combo with the liquid metal coating. You could do that. That's kind of neat. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. That's a neat card. Again, obviously more affinity hate if the deck ever becomes real again. And of course, Mog Salvage, because this will hate on Urza, I guess. That's probably why they printed it. It's a pretty strong card. I love free spells, especially these free spells that are more reasonable, have very more particular, narrow uses. Like if you're playing a red deck and your opponent's playing islands and artifacts, like the Urza decks, this is great against them. Real nice, real simple, real easy reprint. And now we have Quirion Ranger. This card is very sweet. Definitely one I've been wanting in Modern because this is pretty good with the elf decks. Pretty cool synergies with Dryad Arbor, so that's pretty neat. And of course you can untap your Archdruid guy. I think it was Elvish Archdruid, the one that's like a Priest of Titania but costs 3 mana, but also is a Lord, so that's pretty nice. This is an interesting card. I'm glad they reprinted it. I wish they put in Wirewood Symbiote too, but that's okay. Maybe next time. Obviously Wirewood is a little bit better because it's not only is it an insect, so it gets to dodge Plague Engineer, but it bounces something back. So again, more dodging Plague Engineer, so you can bounce your Visionary, which you were going to do anyways, right? So yeah, pretty sweet. But I'm glad. Quirion Ranger, a needed reprint, beautiful art. What a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. I love it. Um, and yeah, there you go. And of course, Enchantress's Presence. There's a lot of Enchantress support in this set so far. I mean, there would have to be because there's basically more or less no Enchantress cards really available in Modern. At least there's a little bit, right, from Theros and stuff, but mostly a lot of the older ones are not available. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Just cast enchantments, draw cards. So this should be interesting. We have stuff like Utopia Sprawl, Abundant Growth. Those kind of things are very good. Great way to draw cards or an Abundant Growth. Draw 2 cards, right? If you have Enchantress's Presence. So that's cool. That's really sweet. Yeah, is it going to be mono green, green white, multiple colors? Who knows? But the sky's the limit. This thing really powerful. I'm glad it's such a sweet archetype to push, because it's you can hate on it if you want to, but yeah, this is I mean there's so much to talk about, but I'm gonna wait till we see the rest of the set before I really want to say too much about it. But I think it's gonna be playable. I mean, it's got so many good cards, so many new cards. Like I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So yeah, real sweet. All right, another surprising one, Zurinorb. I wanted it. I just didn't think that they would do it because I'm just like, why would they? But we get Zurinorb, and that's sweet. I love Zurinorb. Again, all sorts of fun stuff you can do with, like, say, Life from the Loam. You can sack, like, if you had to play your Onslaught cycling lands, like your Barrenmoor and Tranquil Thicket and stuff. If you have to play those as lands, you can sack it with Zurinorb, and then you recur it. So basically reset them with Life from the Loam. So that's cool. That's great. I love Zurinorb. Definitely love one of my favorite cards. Look at this flavor text, great flavor text, and the Veneral's Disc. Talk about unexpected. This one obviously is very good. It's not too wonky, right? Because you already have O-Stone. Disc is good. I think there are reasons to play Disc over O-Stone. This one, not the very least, because you can recur it. I mean, we're not going to be capsizing it, although that would be a fun card. talk about bad play patterns. But yeah, you can bounce the disc with the ability on the stack, return it to your hand. That's sweet. Or you can put you can play a Darksteel Forge and just disc every turn. Unfortunately, Lattice is banned, but yeah, you could do the combo that I like to do in Commander, the Forge Lattice disc. It's pretty sweet. But anyways, this is pretty cool. Again, this is good against if you're trying to deal with Enchantress decks and they're like the next big thing or something, you can disc them. So that's pretty sweet. Nice answer there. And last but not least, we have Mishwas Factory. Like I said, this isn't all the cards previewed, but just the ones that I liked. And this is the last new to print, new to modern reprint. And yeah, this one's great. This is awesome in control decks, ranks. It can trade with 3/3s. You can pump your other guys. I mean, if you have 3 factories, you make a 2/2, then get an attack, and then with your other 2 factories, you can pump it. I mean, you can just do all sorts of cool stuff. I guess it has synergy with assembly workers too. So I know there's like 1 or 2 assembly workers, so like that's something as well. But Mishwas Factory, really great card. You don't even have to worry about it getting wastelanded. It could just do a lot of different stuff, and it's just a much bigger threat than something like Blinkmoth Nexus. So this is cool. I like this a lot. And a man land that comes in and play untapped. Oh my gosh, this is great. So it's got so much going for it, more so than Mutavault or Blinkmoth Nexus and like in control decks. So you can't lose. You can't lose. So let's go ahead and get on to the new cards. All right. So including or continuing, I should say, the cycle of pitch elementals, we got Solitude, which is just a Swords to Plowshares. And it has lifelink, so this is cool. So yeah, this is a pretty reasonable card, like just to cast. Trades with stuff, you gain life, exile stuff. I mean, this is pretty brutal against the Death Shadow decks, especially if they have multiple Death Shadows. Then it's like, ugh, that's not going to be fun for them. Well, it's going to be fun for you, right? Because you plow it, and then, or I should say, you solitude it, and then it kills the other one too, because, you know, they gained a bunch of life. So yeah, I mean, not much to say here. This is a pitch Swords of Plowshares, also on a dude. I think this will be pretty sweet in the white decks, just because they're a little bit slower, they tend to be, so this is pretty welcome. Okay, now we have Out of Time, which is a pretty interesting quote-unquote Wrath effect. This might be useful in Enchantress decks if your opponent has like a bunch of guys in play, like 3 or 4 guys, like a Pyromancer with a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's sweet. That, I mean, this thing will, you know, just wrath them for 3 mana, and they'll never come back, right? If they have 4, like 5, if it has 4 or 5 counters, like the game's gonna be over or locked up by then. So this thing is sweet. It has Vanishing. I like it. Vanishing like Fading, pretty sweet. Yeah, this card seems pretty sweet. 3 mana Wraths, even if they're like sort of conditional like this, pretty awesome, pretty awesome. And Esper Sentinel. I don't know, this thing seems pretty good. It seems a little weak, a little bit weak. Just seems like it dies to, I don't know, Plague Engineer or Lava Dart or Ren and 6 or something, but it seems like it could be okay, like in Hammer Time where you can pump its power by a lot. So I guess that's kind of neat. I don't know. It seems like it's an interesting card. It's also an artifact. So we'll have to see, but it's pretty neat. Yes, Surveillance of the Sky and Sea and Sky. Okay, this is the Merfolk God. This thing is awesome. Man, this is one hell of a push card. This is incredible. This is really good for Legacy Merfolk. Or, well, probably not Legacy, but I mean for modern Merfolk. Because this is, it's another, well, it's kind of like a Lord. It is indestructible, so it's a really good blocker. It protects your other Merfolk by making them have Ward 1, which is really good because, again, this pairs super well with the Rishadan port, so Rishadan Dockhand Merfolk. So you can, you know, port them, and then like just once you keep, you can just keep taxing their mana and choking them on colors, as well as obviously with stuff like Spreading Sea. And it draws a card when it attacks, and it's basically immune to Bolt. Because it has 4 toughness, and of course it just has indestructible if you have enough Merfolk in play. This thing just does so much. This is really great for the Merfolk deck. It's another source of card advantage. So now you have this, as well as Spreading Seas, as well as Silvergill Adept. So I'm pretty excited for this. I don't know, maybe 4 is too much, but of course you can always pitch stuff to the Force of Negation. I don't know. We'll have to see. But this card is definitely getting played. Very cool. Very powerful. You love to see it. Now we got Scuttletide. This is a bunch of crabs. This thing makes crabs. This is awesome. I don't know if like you can make a deck around this, or if there's going to be like some sort of like really good Delirium deck or discard Madness deck. I don't know. But this is just kind of a neat card by itself. Hopefully it's not too difficult to get Delirium. We'll have to see. But yeah, this is a sweet card. This is a sweet card. I love it. I mean, it makes crabs. So it's like baseline makes a 0/3 crab blocker, right? Maybe for a card, maybe that's worth it, maybe that's not, depending. But when you have Delirium, they become 1/4. So these things are just like, I mean, this is Horned Turtles all day long. Just Horned Turtles everywhere. Which is pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. So I don't know if there's any crab synergies or whatever, but this seems pretty good for like, that's really cheap for like this huge wall. I don't know. This is cool. It seems like there could be something here. I just like the flavor of it. No pun intended, right? And last we have Dress Down. This is pretty interesting against the elemental guys. It cantrips. It's got flash. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. This is a really cool card. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, cool, this could do something. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, I don't know. Just an interesting card. Really interesting effect. This sort of humble / sort of humility kind of thing going on. Pretty neat. All right. Now we got Turok, Dread Kantor. Of course, hymn to Turok. So yeah, this is great. If you kick it, it's a him. It has pro white, of course, like those pump knights, right? Back in the day, the 2-mana 2/1s that had pro white. Sweet. Yeah, it hymns them, and when your opponent discards, you put a counter on this guy. So that's cool. So if you kick him, it's like a 4-mana 4/3 pro white, and then like all the additional discard hymns him or pumps him, which is great. So interesting card. Maybe I think it might be a little better than I think at first glance. Pretty sweet, pretty sweet. And now we have Kitchen Imp. This is probably the first really good madness card I think I've seen in the set that I'm like, okay, this is something, right? Because 1 mana for a 2/2 flying haste, that's one heck of a deal. So yeah, we'll just have to see what other payoffs and enablers there are, because that's madness more than any other deck really needs really strong and multiple like payoffs and enablers. So we'll have to see. But yeah, this is pretty interesting, pretty sweet. And last but not least, we have Persyst, which is like a play on the mechanic, right, of Persyst. And of course, it has like the Lorwyn theme, but it's basically also a riff on Animate Dead, right? Because Animate Dead reduced the toughness, or excuse me, the power by 1, so -1, -0. So like a lot going on here. Really cool. Great art. I like the card a lot. This, of course, will be a shoe-in for the Reanimator archetype. Awesome. You know, it doesn't get legendary stuff, but that's okay. We want to do cool stuff with like Bogart and Hellkite or something. I don't know. Interesting card. Interesting card. All right, a bunch of good red stuff. Now we have Ragavan. So this is that monkey that Kari Zev makes. You can, get extra cards when it connects. You get a treasure, which is pretty sweet, and then you can sometimes dash it, which is pretty nice. I like it. I think it's just silly. It's a monkey pirate. It seems pretty powerful, but it's also super fragile. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know. Kind of interesting. We'll have to see. Now we have Obsidian Charma. This thing is pretty sweet. Obviously, this is another piece of Tron hate or something. I guess. I mean, it seems like it could be too slow. I don't know. It's just cool, right? This can. When I see this, I'm like, all right, this is like a 4-mana 4/4 flyer that nukes non-basics. So that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. I'll take it. I'll take it. So I don't know. Depending on how the format ends up looking out, this could be really cool. This could be really cool. Harmonic Prodigy. I don't know if this is too slow for the prowess decks, but it's obviously very good in the prowess decks, or I guess maybe some sort of shaman deck. I don't know. Interesting card. Could be pretty powerful. I like it. And of course, it has prowess itself. Then we have Flame Blitz, which is just a big FU to Planeswalkers. And it cycles if it's dead, or if you draw multiples or something. You can't go wrong with this. Can't go wrong with this card. Pretty silly. I like it. And then, of course, we have Calibrated Blast, which is a upgraded erratic explosion with flashback. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can flash. Or there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff you can flashback. It's good that it has flashback because it lets you just do it multiple times, right? If it gets countered the first time or something, or you just need to deal the extra damage with your Emrakul or whatever you're revealing. Pretty sweet card. I don't know. Maybe it'll make a deck, maybe it won't, but it's nice. It's nice to see that back. So we'll have to see how that plays out. All right. Now we have a bunch of cool stuff. Sylvan Anthem. First thing I see this, I'm just like, this is anti-plague engineer card. But it also seems like it could be cool if, I guess, if there's some sort of like green devotion thing with like Nykthos. We'll have to see. But yeah, this is sweet because again you can scry, which is pretty nice whenever you play a creature, or when it enters the battlefield, I should say. So that's pretty nice. Not much to say here. Great art. Good cheap card. I like it. Sanctum Weaver. Again, this is really good in the Enchantress decks. This will be a big player there. I mean, they're probably playing 4 of these immediately. This thing just it's gonna go off pretty crazy on turn 3. You're gonna be playing a whole bunch of stuff. So that should be cool. I like it a lot. Really sweet card. And then we have Ignoble Hierarch, which is basically just a Jund version, Goblin version of Noble Hierarch. Pretty silly. I like the weird look on his face. Pretty sweet card. Will Jund play it? I don't know. I'm 100% sure the Goblin deck will play it, especially because like red and there's the Grum Gully combo, which is red and green. So not only is this a mana producer, but it can also color fix, and you can just play the Grum Gully combo as well as the Snoop combo, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, I love it. This card's silly. It's great, and I love the art. Just it looks so cool. Good stuff. Gaia's Will, a suspend Yawgmoth's Will. Will it be good? I have no idea. But obviously Yawgmoth's Will is pretty good, so we'll have to see. I have no idea. Not much to say here. And then Ave, Progenitor Ooze, an Ooze with Storm. So you get to make a bunch of oozes. In Legacy, at least, the triple green isn't too bad, right? Because you can tutor for it, or something like that with or I'm sorry, you can pay for it with like LED. So there's something at least going on here. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I don't know. Do you have to living lich, then crack LED? I have no idea how you're going to do it, but it is an interesting card. I don't know if it's like better than Empty the Warrens. I mean, this dodges Plague Engineer, obviously, so I don't know. We'll have to see. Pretty interesting card. And now we have permanents with Storm on them, so there you go. All right, multicolor stuff. My gosh. All right, let's start off with Territorial Cavu. This thing is nuts. This is basically a 2-mana 5/5 that has good abilities, like really good abilities. So, like especially like there's pretty obvious easy sequences with this card. Like turn 1, like if you have no like say Wild Nacatl, you can fetch up a Triome. Turn 2, you can fetch up a Shock Land with the other 2 missing types, and then slam your 2-mana 5/5, and then like you can Rummage, right? So the discard draw card thing, which is, I mean, wow, this is one heck of a Merfolk looter. Holy crap! And then like the exile a card from a graveyard. I mean, this is great too. Like this is really, really good. So this thing is awesome. And including another card we'll talk about in a minute, this thing is really gonna power up the Domain Zoo decks. I mean, you have this, you have the other card we'll talk about in a half minute, and then also like Tribal Flames. I mean, those are pretty ridiculous payoffs. Like 2-mana 5 damage, 2-mana 5/5. A lot going on here. I would be shocked, no pun intended, if this card doesn't bring back Domain Zoo. I mean, this thing is just awesome. Just awesome. Now we have Ravenous Squirrel. This thing is sweet. At first I thought maybe it's just a meme, but there's so many good sacrifice cards, obviously Goblin Bombardment and things like that. All these other sacrifice decks, Squirrel decks, even though they may be a meme, any of that stuff. All the tokens sacking, like clues and food and treasure, they'll just pump this dude. So it's a lot like Carrion Feeder, you know, except it's a squirrel. An easier to cast Carrion Feeder even, and it has another ability where you can sack an artifact or creature to gain a life and draw a card. Like this is awesome. Like this can, you know, mid game you can start drawing cards with it, obviously making it bigger and more relevant. So it's a 1-drop from the sacrifice decks. It's relevant in the late game. It's a mana outlet, mana sink. It's a sacrifice outlet. I mean, this thing's got to be way better than I think it is, because I can't think of a deck like off the top of my head, but obviously some sort of generic sacrifice deck, maybe something else. This thing is great. Priest of Felrights. This thing is going to be awesome in the Reanimator decks. Yeah, there you go. I mean, the 2-mana 2/2, and then you get another use out of it too with the Unearth. This is sweet. This thing's sweet. This is going to be great. So yeah, there's, I mean, it's nice because you can interact with it a little more, right? But yeah, I like this card. I like it a lot. Definitely gonna see play. And last but not least, for the multicolor stuff, we have Grist. I don't even know where to go with this guy, but this thing, the first thing I'm thinking of is like, okay, this, I am going to Green Sun Zenith this up in like elves, right, in Legacy to like deal with Plague Engineer. This is going to be great as a way to deal with, uh, oh, well, anything, right? You can just destroy creatures and planeswalkers, so this will kill a Liliana. And of course, it makes insects, so that means you can just start grinding out, making a bunch of insects or whatever, which is good when you have to do the grindy thing. So yeah, this thing is it's great. I mean, you can even unearth it, right? Because it's an insect in your graveyard. So there's a lot of interactions with it that's really cool. Um, it's removal that you can Green Sun Zenith up that you don't have to pay any mana for. I mean, it's a kind of a little bit of an army in a can, a little bit. You've got some graveyard stuff going on. I don't know. There's got to be tons of stuff I'm not even thinking of, but this is a pretty sweet card. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this is a weird one. We'll just have to see what the heck happens. All right, and now we got Scion of Draco. Yes, this card is awesome. It's awesome. It's this is the other part to the Domain Zoo deck because this is basically a 2 mana 4/4 flyer. I was like, wow, that's really good, but I didn't even see that there's all this other text on the bottom that's like pumps up your other dudes. So like, your Territorial Cavu has Trample and First Strike. It gives your Wild Nacatl Trample. I mean, this thing is just awesome. I, 2 mana 4/4 flyers, yeah, I think I'll take that. That's pretty good. Whereas Cavu basically trades with pretty much most anything. Scion will help you close the game out, right? Get the extra points of damage in because obviously not a ton of flyers. So yeah, this is really sweet. I like this card a lot. This will do something. This is going to do something, and it's going to be sweet. Now we have Zabas, the Glimmer Wasp. This seems pretty good in like the Hardened Scales sort of style decks. It's a little confusing because the way modular works with like replacement effects and triggers and stuff, but it's basically just a 1 mana 1/1, and it's kind of like another doubling counter effect, so it plays really well with more modular stuff, right? More like Arcbound Workers, Arcbound Ravagers, stuff like that. So this is pretty interesting. Um, I guess like giving it flying is pretty nice for white, and the red is the sacrifice outlet to start pumping stuff up. I mean, sure, I guess that's okay, right? We'll have to see, but this seems pretty good. A little confusing, but should be sweet. Should be sweet. And of course, last card we're going to be talking about today, pretty ridiculous. Yavi Cradle of Growth. So this is basically just a green herb org, so it just turns each land into a forest in addition to its other types. This is going to be nutty in the Legacy Elf decks. You're able to protect your Cradle now, right? So you can like Queer and Ranger back like your Cradle to replay it and tap it, protect it from Wasteland. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. This does mana fixing, right? So in decks like Lands or Cloud Post in Legacy, where these decks want to, they'll play a ton of like Cloud Post lands, right? But if you need to cast your Primeval Titan for double green, or you need to play 2 green spells a turn or something, like you need to Croson Grip and then also Crop Rotation or something like, yeah. So this is going to be a really good one. It's going to pop up in a lot of different places. It's pretty good with Nine of the Reliquary, right? So you can start sacrificing all sorts of stuff to get Wastelands or whatever. I mean, this just does so much. The thing is going to be really powerful, really powerful. But yeah, we'll have to see what it does in Modern. I think it'll be good there too, somewhere. So yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's it for today, guys. I was trying to rush through this, and it's already 45 minutes, but that's okay. That's okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're really liking this preview season. I hope you're liking all these cards. This is just crazy stuff, references, powerful stuff, twists on old favorites, old legends like Garth One Eye and all that other stuff, which of course I wasn't able to get to because there's just too much stuff to talk about. But yeah, so we'll have to see. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a nice day.